What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Double D Report. Me and Dean are back. I know, we're inconsistent. It's fine. It is what it is. I was supposed to film something small, but I felt like anything small that I would have put out, it wasn't going to be good enough for you guys, so I didn't do it. I want to put out the best of content for you guys, and I don't want to be lackluster. So, and that's not me being lazy. I'm being dead serious.
No. Did you basically what he just said was he wants to put out good content because I'm the best part of the content.
Yes.
That's basically what he just said. So I want everybody to recognize.
Unfortunately, yes. That's what I'm saying.
Wow. And he admits it. This is shaping up to be a hell of a podcast.
Well, I don't know. Well, obviously, this week, we can't go off of last week's picks, and we can't go off of this week's picks because we didn't have the picks. So, this one's going to be different. We're not going to do the picks, but we're going to talk about topics, main topics that are going on around the world. Dean, it's up to you. Do you want to go on the football aspect or do you want to go on the baseball aspect first?
I think we got to put a loop and finish up the baseball aspect of the season, right? World Series concluded. The Los Angeles Dodgers winning in 7 games in extra innings of 7 games. I think, look, it's how it works, right? Baseball's over now until February of next year when pitchers and catchers start to report. So I think we got to close the loop on it.
Yeah. All right. So, first off, I was so close. Obviously, close doesn't mean dick. But I was very close in predicting this. I honestly thought I was going to get it exactly. I said that the Blue Jays were going to win 4 out of 2. They ended up losing 4 out of 3. They went to Game 7. Mind you, in my opinion, this series was electric. It brought my spirit back to baseball of fully watching it completely everything. I want to talk about it, break it down a little bit. Do I think the Dodgers got lucky? Yes. They got lucky in the aspect of in Game 6, the odds of that ball getting stuck is slim to none. Obviously, you can't take back time. I can't erase that. It still happened. Unfortunately, that's a part of the stadium. It got stuck underneath, and they lost. Because that would have been a double with no outs. And 2 runs scored. This series was very, what is the word for it, Dean?
I can't get inside your mind.
Shocking. Because most
that's the word you were looking for that made you think for 5 seconds?
Yeah, the hamster just started to roll back again.
Jesus Christ, the hamster had a handgun and was contemplating suicide.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But I did not think, honestly, I did say in the podcast, I did not think it was going to be this close. I thought the Dodgers would have won these games convincingly. But in my eyes, it brought electric back to baseball, this series. And now I want you to go on your side a little bit, and then I'll bounce off of that.
Look, it was a great series, right? From Game 1 all the way to Game 7. This was definitely one of the better World Series that we've had in the last 10-plus years, and I think that's a huge step forward for baseball, just because you do love to see that competitive balance, right? Even though the Dodgers have such an insane payroll and such star power on their team, right? So you like to see that competitive balance within baseball. They did also have over 25 plus million viewers for Game 7, which is such a huge win for the game, not to mention 10 plus million in Canada alone, about half the country. So you really love to see this stuff, right? Especially because this is America's game, right? And sure, Canada is such a big part of that with the Blue Jays too, but it's good to revive that for a sport. I don't think baseball could have asked for any sort of better series, better ending, better anything, right? Going to a Game 7 in the World Series, extra innings, mind you, is the epitome of what baseball could have looked for here. Right, obviously there's some heroes along in that, Rojas being one of them, the game-tying home run in the 9th. Right, Yamamoto pitching 3 innings in Game 7 after pitching 96 pitches in Game 6. Right, it's these little things that give baseball its lore, and it's electric. You gave a great word. It's electric to watch. Right, it gives you that sense where this is one of the best sporting events that I can watch. And it showed that once again. I don't think the Dodgers got lucky. I completely disagree with that. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. They have now proven it 2 years in a row, right? First back-to-back champions since the Yankees did it in 99 and 2000. That is a feat in itself, right? In a sports world where, especially baseball, where there is so much parity, where there is so competitive, where there is such a competitive balance, back-to-back champions is something that should not be taken lightly. And it proved it that they're the best team in baseball. Right? The last and for anybody viewers out there, the last team to go for a back-to-back was the Phillies back in when they won it in '08 and then they went back in '09, but they lost. So it really isn't a common thing. So for the Dodgers to have done this, regardless of the players that they have, regardless of the payroll that they put out there, it's an amazing feat. It's an amazing accomplishment, and it's great for baseball to see that even the best team in the league can be taken to 7 games.
Yeah. Go. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Go. Continue.
No, so what like, obviously, you're 100% right. The best team in baseball, and then they went against a team in the AL who, when they were in, no one thought that much that they were going to go to the World Series, even though they were the 1 seed. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They were the 1 seed in the AL, yes.
Yeah, they were the 1 seed. They did win their division, but they weren't favored to go to the World Series. And going into that, that's like a team going, that's no pressure. You, in your eyes, in the eyes of the world, you have no pressure on your back. You just have to worry about winning the game for your fans. Round 1, they did well. The NLDS, they did well. NLCS, they did very well. No, ALCS. ALDS and ALCS. I saw your face, and I was like, I'm realizing what the fuck I'm saying.
Look, I let the stupidity roll. I want to see you fail, crumble, all that good stuff.
I appreciate that. But they played very well throughout the entire playoffs to lead them to get into the World Series. Unfortunately, it did fall short. But there's like aspects of this that's like, oh, this is a young team. They have Vlad Bo Bichette, this star pitcher who came alive in the World Series, I saw, at least. He played phenomenal in the 2 games that he pitched, which I thought if they would have won the World Series, he might have won MVP.
It's possible.
Seeing like that, a team you wouldn't expect to make it like, bring it to 7 games, it shows obviously, yes, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, but it's possible for them to get beaten.
Of course. And I think this goes underrated as well. It showed the baseball world that there are more ways to win games, right, than just the power game and the power pitching that we've seen over the last 5-10 years, right? The Blue Jays implemented a system that really nobody in the AL even came close to stopping, right? Low strikeouts, high hit contact rate, and consistent pitching. That's something that a lot of teams in the MLB nowadays are trying to go away from, right? A lot of teams in the MLB nowadays are trying to go for, the highest power players. Let's get them in our lineup, right? Highest home run potential. I want all the guys who throw 99 plus miles per hour. It's a different area of the game. So what the Blue Jays were able to accomplish is giving some of these other teams, maybe even some of these other teams that don't have the payroll to the extent of the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees or the Phillies, right? The ability to go out there and build a team by just having good baseball players, right? Straight up, high contact, high average baseball players, having MLB hitters that go into your lineup that hit 260 plus all around, right? A nice, clean game. On top of that, it is so important that you had the right fundamentals in the game, and they proved that as well, right? Fielding at the absolute maximum experience and the absolute maximum ability is crucial, especially when you get into the playoffs, right? You don't want to give extra outs to teams. You don't want to give extra runs to teams. That's just not how it works. And we saw that last year with the Yankees, right? In the World Series, where they blew multiple games because their fundamentals were just all over the place. The Blue Jays didn't do that. Right? Yes, the Blue Jays had moments in this series where they probably could have and should have won. Particularly in Game 7, you could count a couple of times on your hand how many times they were this close. Literally the bottom of the 9th when he was this close at home plate. Right? So, I don't want to sit here and say the Blue Jays, are the ideal type of team that you should be building, but they do bring the MLB back a little bit to reality that, yeah, sure, home runs are sexy, right? Strikeouts are sexy. Pitchers throwing 100 is sexy. but it's not always the best way to win, which is a good thing because you want that parity and you want that competitive balance within the MLB. There was one other point that I did want to make, and I think it's great for baseball, not only baseball, but for sports, because you've been seeing it over the last couple of years in particular. Having Canada back in the fold with a great team is unbelievable, right? Their fans are top tier in sports, not only baseball. The energy around the city is great. And not to mention, the Blue Jays are the only Canadian team in the major leagues, for now at least. So the entirety of the country is rallying around them. Mm-hmm. Right? You love to see it, especially because they are basically a part of the United States, right? We work hand in hand. We work in so many different areas. Having them in the sports conversation, in the sports world, is such a huge factor for ratings, for competitive nature, for just honestly the fandom, right? We saw that last year when it came to hockey and Canada versus USA, which was absolutely electric. You saw it now, obviously, this year with the Blue Jays making this not Cinderella run, but making the run that they did. So it's just great for baseball and it's great for sports. I hope it continues to be, and who knows, maybe in a couple of years we may see a Montreal team come back into play.
It would be very cool having our Canadian team in baseball. Do I think it's going to happen now? No, I just think it'll happen in a couple of years because obviously the MLB is not going to stay stagnant for a certain. They're gonna grow as what they should be doing. Overall, what was one of the? I don't know if you obviously watched this World Series. Obviously, the Yankees are in it, so you probably didn't give a flying fuck. What was in your eyes one of the best plays or best moments that you saw from the series?
I mean, there's so many. When you have a 7-game World Series, so many moments and so many heroics stand out to you, right? I mean, Ohtani getting on base 9 times in one game. That's unheard of. For context, Judge got on base 9 times in the entirety of the World Series last year, and Ohtani did it in one game, right? So that's just astounding. But I think the main factor that I wanted to talk about, not just in the World Series, but in the playoffs this year, is the resurgence and the importance of starting pitching, right? Over the last 10 to 15 years, pitcher innings have gone down just because of how much stress they put on their arm, right? You can't just go out there and throw 7 innings every single time with a 99 mile per hour fastball. Your arm's going to blow out. And we see that every single year. But just the fact that a lot of these managers in the playoffs, especially Dave Roberts, especially some of the managers on the AL side, like the manager of the Detroit Tigers, right? Letting their pitchers go longer, letting their pitchers go into these 120 pitch counts because they trust them, because that's the best they have. Right? Putting the trust and putting the emphasis back on starting pitching is so huge. And I don't want to discount relief pitchers, but seeing Yamamoto, right, pitch 96 pitches in the Game 6 and then come into a crucial, leave it out there on the field, right, Game 7 and throw 3 innings is something that baseball used to have, and it's something baseball needs to come back to, right? Relief pitchers are great. We all love pitchers throwing 100 miles per hour with like a 92 mile per hour sinker, right? It's sick. It's awesome. But you don't want to see 12 pitchers for each team come into a game. It's just not how it should be. You want a starting pitcher to absolutely light it up and go into the 6th, 7th, 8th complete game innings. Yamamoto threw 2 complete games back-to-back, then 96 pitches in Game 6, then at 3 innings in Game 7. That's electric. That's what you want to see in baseball. Your best players giving it their best, no matter the situation. So, yes, there were a lot of great moments, including Rojas in Game 7, right? That can't be discounted. Right, hitting the game-tying home run, then making the play at second base to get the guy out at home to save the game. So there are just great moments, but I love the resurgence of the starting pitcher in these playoffs.
Yeah, I can't hate that, because seeing what we saw in the past with starting pitchers and seeing what happened this series, hopefully it changes the course of how it goes. Well, we both will never know, but let's hope it does. One moment that I thought was fucking crazy. In Game 6, Kike Hernandez line drive to the outfield, makes a great play on the ball, gets the out, and then I don't understand. People who don't play baseball or don't watch baseball enough don't know how hard of a throw he made to second, on the move, on the run, full speed, online, one bounce to get the double play. And that solidified game 6. They won the game because of that play. He makes a missed throw, potentially a run scores, and the series is over.
Yep.
So
and that's even more of the emphasis of what we've been talking about with the fundamentals, right? Every aspect of baseball matters. Defense, hitting, pitching, coaching, all of it. So, and it's been proven year in and year out, and the Dodgers continue to do all the right things. They don't make mistakes, and it shows. And this is why they're such a great team beyond the star power, right? You can talk about Ohtani all day long. You can talk about Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Mac Muncy, Will Smith. You could talk about all of them. But in the end of the day, if you don't do the right things in the game, in the field, at the plate, none of it matters.
Exactly.
And you're right. It was such a great play to end the game. And it's just another reason why the Dodgers are the best team in the world.
Yeah, it sucks. I was so close. So fucking close to predicting it. But hey, maybe next year. But any closing statements you want to say about the World Series, you got them all out, Dean.
I'm happy with how it worked out. Obviously, the Yankees are disappointing year in and year out. So from a fan perspective, depression doesn't put into words what I need to say. But at the same time, this was great for the game. This was probably one of the best World Series in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, right? So it's great to see the game continue to gain this viewership that it so desperately needs, especially with all the other sports in the United States now. I'm just hoping that the Players Association, the owners moving forward, continue to work out their issues so we don't have a lockout, right, in a couple of years. So, closing arguments, great for baseball. I want the owners and the Players Association to see this and realize that they can't afford a year off of baseball. So, great offseason. I'm looking forward to the offseason. I'm looking forward to what some teams do, especially when it comes to the free agency, especially when it comes to maybe revamping their team to become a little bit more like the Toronto Blue Jays, right? Less strikeouts, more hit barrels. But it'll be interesting, and it was a great baseball season once again.
I can't agree more. And one thing I kind of am looking forward to see, besides obviously what the Yankees will do, is what are the Blue Jays going to do after losing in Game 7 of the World Series? How do you make your team that much better to win that Game 7? So, overall, happy that great season and great World Series. Can't complain anymore. But, Dean, we got to talk about what's just concluded, I believe. It concludes tomorrow.
It concluded yesterday.
My bad. I don't know why it concludes on a Tuesday, by the way. It's kind of stupid. It should conclude on a Thursday. But anyway, we're talking about the trade deadline for the NFL.
Yeah, we're talking about the NFL.
Yeah, but there was a lot of huge trades that went on. A lot.
Yep.
The Jets fire sale. The Eagles stealing. We will go into the mini ones, obviously. But those are like the two main ones that are going on. Can you agree?
Yes, definitely. The main one, no matter which way you put it, right, is the Jets. Fire sale. The Jets continue to be ass, and I think they made the best call, honestly, for this deadline, right? These players, Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams, are great players. They really are in their own regard, in their own, specific position. So, but you're clearly not winning with them. And I think in the Jets world, in the Jets mind, they absolutely maximized value for these guys. The reality of the situation is you probably weren't going to win in the next year or two with these guys, so you had to have sold them at their absolute peak. And I think they did, right? The Cowboys giving the Jets for Quinn Williams a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and Mozzie Smith is just unbelievable. Right? The Colts giving not one but 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. I really don't see... These are deals that other teams call up the Jets, and the Jets simply can't refuse. That's just the reality of the situation. Now, is this going to help the Jets moving forward? It obviously depends on if they are able to hit their picks. That's such a key factor. They're going to have 3 first-round picks next year, and I believe 2 or 3 in 2027. So you have to hit on these picks in order to build your team up from what is most definitely the cellar. They are at the lowest point they could be. They could not be any worse than they are right now. It's not possible. It's really not possible. So what they had to do this deadline was what they did. To absolutely maximize their value for their star players, which they did. Now you got to go out there and hit on picks. I am surprised they didn't trade Breece Hall just because I thought they could have gotten at least maybe a third, fourth round pick for him. But I guess they didn't see the value in getting a third or fourth round pick. So instead, Breece Hall gets to stay in hell for another couple of years until they trade him eventually.
I don't know if you've seen him on Twitter, but that shit's just hilarious.
It's the reality of the situation because nobody likes to play on a losing team. It's human nature. Whether you're great, good, bad, ugly, nobody wants to play on a team that has one win and we're going into week 10 of the NFL season. So it sucks. But at the same time, it's a business. The Jets trade who they are able to trade. The Jets keep who they're able to keep. It's just that simple. So it's going to be interesting to see. I definitely, though, get that being said, the Jets 100% won this deadline. Hands down. No questions asked. And honestly, if you're a New York fan in general, because we haven't won so much in so long, you hope they hit on some of these picks so you get a superstar in New York.
I actually can't. God, sucks. I do agree with you that they didn't. They maximized on what they could have done. Because there were offers for Breece Hall to get traded. That is a main factor that they did openly say. KC did come and offer them, I think it was a fourth round pick, and they wanted a third. They were stuck on a third, and they didn't want to move in, and I don't think they want to send them to KC either. Because I'm going to be 100%, I don't think anyone wants to trade with KC. That's one thing, but this is the thing that makes, I'm going to go on the other side real quick. The thing that makes no sense to me for the Colts, right? Trading for Sauce Gardner on a down year. He could be playing bad because the Jets are bad, and that's what we're seeing. Sauce Gardner is a good corner. I can't say he's not a good corner. But the matter of the fact is he's having a bad year, and I don't even think he had a good year last year. You gave up 2 first-round picks for him. And you're going to have to pay that motherfucker a lot because he won Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, his contract is already in. It's for $120.
Well, isn't it? It's an extension.
Yeah, the Colts will be picking up the entirety of the contract after this year.
So that's going to be. He has to play very, very good for you to keep him. Because don't get me wrong, he's a very good player. But you also have Jonathan Taylor, Pittman, Tyler Warren. You have a lot of stars in your team, and you don't have the cap to hold all these players. So you're going to have to figure it out to reconstruct some contracts.
See, for me, it's not so much the money. It's not so much the player they went after, right, for the Colts. The Colts obviously are a very good team this year, right? They have the number 1 offensive line in the league. We talked about that in the last podcast. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. Their defense looks very good, and they needed some corner help, especially with Charvarius Ward going on to IR, right? So Sauce immediately fills a position that they needed. Right, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Sauce is probably one of the best corners in the game, right? His interceptions are definitely down, but teams still don't target him as much because he still is a great pass defender. So nobody's disputing that. The thing that is a little strange to me from a Colts perspective, and I get it, we've talked about this in length. Daniel Jones is having a fantastic year, but this trade basically tells me they're going all in. All in. For this year and next year, and they have no issues with giving up first-round picks. My biggest issue is they're going all in with Daniel Jones at the helm. And once again, I want to emphasize this. I have nothing against Daniel Jones, right? He's a great human being. He's a good player. And he's showing that he could be a very good player under the right system and under the right offensive line. But at the same time, I've seen this guy play for the last years. I don't think, personally, and I know a lot of analysts think the same way, is Daniel Jones really the guy who's going to bring you over the top to a Super Bowl, regardless of what the rest of your team looks like? Is he going to beat the Buffalo Bills? Is he going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Is he realistically, is he going, he couldn't do it. They couldn't do it this past week. Is he going to beat the Steelers or the Ravens? I just don't see it. I don't see it. So it's just a precarious move on my thought to go all in and put all your chips in the middle with Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback. I thought they would have tried to do this in a year or two, right? With maybe somebody else of better caliber that they're able to sign or somebody else that they're able to draft. But I guess they feel they're in a good enough position. Maybe they feel the AFC is a little bit wide open where they can make this sort of move and propel themselves past some of these, top tier quarterbacks in the AFC. That's the only reason why it's a little weird to me from a Colts perspective.
I'm going to say something that's going to sound so crazy because what I've started off this year by saying. How I see it is this with them. What they could be seeing, I'm not speaking for them, obviously, is they're looking on the other side of the NFC, and they're looking at the Eagles. They're saying a mediocre quarterback, good defense, good weapons around the quarterback.
Okay. All right. Let's calm down.
Listen to me.
Listen. Mediocre.
All right. Above average quarterback. All right. A system quarterback. Agree or disagree?
A great system quarterback.
All right. A great system quarterback. And correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel Jones in this system is playing greater than what he was with the Giants. Yes or no?
Easily.
What I'm saying is this. What they could be doing is saying, all right, they're trying to build up the defense to help out on the defensive front, and Daniel Jones is on the offensive side with Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Warren, all them. They have solid weapons. I genuinely think what they're trying to do is do the Eagles format and build the offensive line, build the defensive line, and have Daniel Jones in the system for 2 years. That's what I think is going to happen.
That's fine. Look, I get it, right? If you think you have a good enough system to go out there and win, good for you. But at the same time, the Eagles, and this is not discounting the Eagles, right? They're a great Super Bowl. They played great last year, and they're probably one of the better Super Bowl teams in the last 10 years. But the NFC was wide open last year.
Agreed.
After the Eagles, there really wasn't a clear two, especially with all the Lions' injuries. This is a different situation because the Colts are not a clear one. They're not even a clear two. They're not even a clear three. That's where my difference comes into play. Sure, right? You can try and replicate a perfect world in which the Eagles did, right? Similar offensive line to the Colts where it's one of the best in the league, right? One of the top tier running backs in JT and Saquon. Very good system quarterback in Daniel Jones showing in Indy, and then Jalen Hurts in the Eagles, and then a very good defense. I get it. But when you're looking at from a outside looking in perspective, the Eagles were a clear one last year. Clear as day. Nobody can question it. Nobody can rival it. The Colts are not anywhere near that. I don't care about what their record says. They're not better than the Buffalo Bills. They're not better than the Kansas City Chiefs. I would venture to say they're not better than a few other teams in the AFC. I would say they're not better than the Denver Broncos. I would say they're not better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would say they're not better than the Baltimore Ravens, who are below 500. So my point is, I'm not sure this was the right time to put all your chips in the middle. Can I be proven wrong and a complete moron? Yes, it's been happening before. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again.
Especially
of course, it was just a precarious situation that I thought maybe wasn't the exact right timing. But at the same time, the NFL is so fast moving, I think they saw an opportunity and they took it.
Yeah, and I will like to see how the Colts are gonna course through this year and next year. Because say this year they get the 2 seed maybe, and they don't go to the Super Bowl. And next year, possibility Daniel Jones has a shitty year, and they don't even make the playoffs. Now you don't have those 2 first-round picks, and now the Jets have your pick. So it's only going to make What the Jets are hoping for is that Daniel Jones has a shitty year next year. Because this year, they're probably, even if they stay the same, they're going to be a middle of the pack pick. But still, 3 picks in the first round is obscene. That's like some Madden franchise shit. We will push aside the fire sale. I want to touch on my team for a second.
Sure.
The Eagles, Howie Roseman. All right. He's like, all right, trade deadline, bitches. Let's trade. Let's trade for some motherfuckers. First, he calls the Ravens. Goes, all right, I want Jay Alexander, a former Pro Bowler. Mind you, he is battling injuries, and I don't even think he liked it in Baltimore, to be honest. So he said, we'll give you I think it was a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick.
It was basically a swap of late round picks. So they gave a 6th round pick. They got back a 7th round pick in Jair.
Pro Bowl player. I'm a very happy person. Then come Monday morning. Very early Monday morning. I mean, this interim GM in Miami was active in the morning. He's like, all right, I want to trade this. I genuinely thought, by the way, I thought the Dolphins were going to clean house. I thought Tua was getting traded. I thought everyone was getting traded. But instead, one player got traded. They ended up trading Jalen Phillips, defensive lineman, who is a young, good star, who the Eagles do plan on signing, for a 3rd round pick, which I genuinely think the Eagles robbed them blind. Great pick, great steal that the Eagles got. And then, again, they go on our defensive side and they go to get Michael Carter from the Jets for John Mechie and a 4th round pick.
Yep.
Which I don't mind. Michael Carter's a good corner. But what I'm seeing again is like Howie Roseman's like, all right, I'm not happy with how the team is right now on the defensive front. I'm going to stack the defense. Did I think A.J. Brown was getting traded? Yes. I was expecting Monday morning, A.J. Brown to the Patriots. Fuck! Put my phone on D&D. But no one on the offense got traded, even though the offense was struggling. And then we just got new players on the defense and barely gave up anyone.
Yeah, this is another perfect example of Howie Roseman doing what needed to be done, right? The offense, mind you, it hasn't looked great at points this year, but you still have dynamic players. You still have one of the best offensive lines in the league, right? You can't discount A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen. You can't discount these players, especially not to mention Goddard, right? One of the best tight ends in the league. So you didn't really need to do a ton on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense definitely needed work, and they solely focused on the defense this deadline. Good for them. And I think this was another perfect example of Howie Roseman looking out into the NFC and saying, there's no clear one. Same exact situation, right? There are some good teams, but there's no clear one. The Detroit Lions, good team, have definitely faltered since last year, right? Green Bay Packers, good team, have really faltered in weeks where they should have won and they didn't, right? Not to mention just this last week against Carolina, where their offense was non-existent, where their play calling was garbage, right? The Rams look really good this year, but they're having some health issues. The 49ers look really good this year, but we know for a fact the 49ers always have injury woes, right? And then there is absolutely nobody. You can also put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that conversation, but they're dealing with their injuries on the offensive side of the ball to begin with, right? No Godwin, no Mike Evans, even Ibuka is having some injury trouble. So they're having trouble. And there's nobody in the NFC East that even rivals the Eagles. Not even close, right? So they're looking at this playing field and they're saying, we are right in the thick of things. You can even put the Eagles at 1 right now. Truly in the NFC. Truly. So he saw a wide open field and he saw an opportunity and he gave up, a couple 3rd round picks, a couple 4th round picks, nothing too crazy, right? Who cares about the picks anyway if you're going to make it to the playoffs and the NFC Championship / Super Bowl? Nobody gives a shit, right? Their window, and they know it, is now. Is now. If they suck 5-10 years from now, who gives a shit? Their window's now. If they can win another championship or 2, it's all worth it. And I think they saw that to the best of their ability, and they went out there and got some good players. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and one thing that can't go unnoticed right now is, like, there's a possibility for the Eagles to be the first team in 25 years to break that record in the NFC East for a back-to-back division winner.
It would be, which is an unbelievable stat in itself. We spoke about this in the preseason on the podcast, but to think that an NFC East team hasn't repeated the division since I forget the exact year, it's like '04 or '05,
Yeah.
is astonishing. Astonishing. So, yes, that would be a huge feat for the Eagles. I don't personally see anybody in the NFC East rivaling them for that spot, right? We know the Giants ain't doing it. I don't foresee the Cowboys making a run of that nature, right? Their defense just isn't good enough to hold teams. And sure, Dak's having an MVP year, type year, but it's not good enough. And the Commanders have faltered mightily, especially with the injuries to Jayden Daniels. So this is truly the Eagles' division to lose.
Yeah. A lot of pressure for Eagles fans to like see, because obviously if they do lose, they're gonna get shit on. It is what it is. But I will move aside from my team for a second to ask you: do you want to speak about any other crazy trades that caught your eye this offseason? Well, this midseason. I mean,
there was just two at the deadline that caught my eye, and both involved wide receivers, right? The Jaguars going out there and get Jacoby Myers. I thought personally, and you could think maybe different of me, I thought Vegas kind of won out in this trade. Yes, it's only a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, but you have to remember the Jaguars gave up a 4th and a 6th for a rental, a true rental. Jacoby Myers will be a free agent at the end of this year. Sure, you know what? If you sign him, a 4th and a 6th, who gives a shit? But if he does walk, especially with the Jacksonville Jaguars team, who, let's be real here, they're not going anywhere. They may not even make the playoffs. I get they needed help on the offensive side of the ball. Travis Hunter on the IR, out for at least the next 3 games. Brian Thomas definitely dealing with a couple of ankle issues, but still, this was a little bit of a weird trade for me. I thought the Raiders definitely came out on top with this. Just they were going to lose Jacoby Myers anyway. At least you got a couple of picks for him. And then the other receiver that I wanted to talk about, Shaheed, the boy, Rashid Shaheed, right, on New Orleans getting traded to Seattle. Seattle's another one of those teams that where they probably looked at the deadline and said, it's wide open. You know, we could easily make the playoffs here and maybe make a little bit of noise, right? Do I believe in Darnold? No, absolutely not. I don't see them going anywhere. But it is good to have another receiver opposite JSN who could take off some of the pressure of him, right? Because Cooper Kupp, you could see it, he's getting older. He's really not too involved in this offense. So I thought this was a good pick for both sides, right? The Saints got similar to what the Raiders got. They got a 4th and a 5th round pick, which I think is worth it for Seattle, especially because Shaheed's going to be with you for the next couple of years. So I thought the receiver trades in this deadline were pretty interesting.
Yeah, those are 2 good standout trades. I'm gonna choose one. It's unfortunate for a team that you and me both hate. It's for the Cowboys. Well, it's kind of 2 in its own. Obviously, the Jets fire sale. They got Quinn Williams. But then the other side, they got Logan Wilson from the Bengals. I don't get it for the Bengals aspect, maybe because their defense is literally wet sandpaper. Because Logan Wilson is a good middle linebacker. But seeing the Cowboys actually trade seems that maybe they want to try to make a push. Maybe. I don't know. I don't fully know. Maybe they're just going to rely on their team they have with like little additional players on the defensive front. Because that's what they've been lacking. With Dak having a good year, they're losing games because they're giving up 40 points.
Yep.
When games they should be winning. But
yep.
I hope that they don't succeed off this trade. I hope this trade fucks them and bites them in the ass. But those are 2 like little side trades that like got him. Can't go unnoticed. And that does conclude our little trade segments for this. But there's one thing that I want to go into a rant about real quick.
Oh boy. You do you.
All right. This team is in our conference. It is in our division. It is in Washington. Dan Quinn, I know you're not watching this. I know your kids aren't watching this. I know your wife or any relatives in your family is not watching this. But you are a fucking dumbass. Why? Someone needs to fucking explain to me this. We are in week 9 going into week 10, right? You have your star quarterback who, correct me if I'm wrong, is the future of that team. He is going to be the future of that team for hopefully a good amount of time. He brought them to an NFC championship in his rookie year. Right? You're down 38-7. Explain to me, why the fuck is he in? What in the right mind? Why do you have the future of your team in, and I get to see his fucking arm turn like a Wetzel fucking pretzel? It is the most moronic, idiotic thing I've ever seen in my life. Dan Quinn, I hope you're fired tonight. I hope you're fired tomorrow. I hope nothing good happens for you. Because that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen by a coach in the world. Even upstairs in the GM, or whoever's down at the field making these calls on putting Mariota. And mind you, Jayden Daniels has been battling injuries this entire year. You were down 31-7 at half. Why is he still in? Pull him! You're not coming back! Oh my god. Just shit. This is the shit that pisses me off with coaches. How they don't see, oh, Boom's getting injured. Luke McCaffrey gets injured. This player gets injured. This player gets injured. Out for the year. Malik Neighbors, Scattaboo, the Craninator snapping his fucking leg. It's just abysmal to see. Take out your star quarterback and protect him. Do you want to say anything about this?
No, I let you go on a rant. It was definitely a bad decision on the part of Dan Quinn, and he admitted it, right, the day after, where it was a mistake on his part. And it sucks, too, because the kid who is battling, Jayden Daniels, has been battling injuries all year. Thankfully, it looks... and it sounds horrible to say, but for injuries... dislocated anything is probably best case rather than a torn ACL, rather than a shoulder injury. So I'm hoping him a speedy recovery. He's definitely going to be out this whole year. But hopefully, given the timeline of the injury, given the nature of the injury, he should be back ready to go next year. It is just a shame to see a young star in this league go down the way he did in a game where he probably shouldn't have been in at the end. But at the same time, you move forward with it. The Commanders definitely have taken a step back this year. They're probably not going to, they're not going to make the playoffs here. So it's definitely unfortunate to see, but I wanted to let you rant because a lot of what you just said is probably correct.
Overall, fuck you, Dan Quinn, you piece of shit. I understand it's his left, it's not his throwing arm. But that could fuck with a person's career. That's one injury, and it could just start what happened with RG3, who was in Washington.
Well, let's not wish those sort of injuries on people.
I would never wish those sort of injuries on people, because I actually, as much as he's in my division, I actually like the kid, because I watched him play in LSU and watched him play in Arizona State. So I wish him a speedy recovery. Dan Quinn, fuck you. All right, let's go on a happy note. We're not doing our picks this week, unfortunately. I know. Sadness. Mm-mm. I know. I'm sorry. But we will jump. Unless Dean wants to bring up anything else.
It's all good on my end.
Boom. Dean, bring us into our next segment.
Oh, wait. My voice is a little sore this week, Derek. I'm not sure if I'm going to have it in me.
Just fucking...
Baller of the week.
Oh, you're still gone. You cut out pretty much. Like as soon as you said "we," it just cut out. But
thank you.
Dean, would you like to start? Would you like me to start?
I would love to start if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my baller of the week is going to be an interesting one. I want to put that out there first and foremost. It is still in the NFL world. It is probably a shocking one to you. My baller of the week, Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett on the Arizona Cardinals, right? Taking advantage of his opportunity. Kyler Murray has been out with injury with his foot. He even just went on to IR again, so he's going to be out for the next 4 weeks. Given that being said, the coach of the Arizona Cardinals said that even if Kyler was healthy, Brissett has earned the right to start at this very moment because he gives the Arizona Cardinals the best opportunity to win. They went into Dallas and beat them on Monday Night Football. Jacoby Brissett, 260 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, not to mention a couple of carries for another touchdown on the rushing side. The man had an absolute spectacular game. He has an opportunity to start for the next 4, maybe even more, depending on how the season goes, right? Maybe Kyler doesn't even start another game this year. Very happy for the man. He's been a warrior throughout his NFL career. He's bounced around quite a bit on many different teams. It's nice to see these sort of little success stories, especially with quote-unquote backup quarterbacks. I'm happy for him that he's going to be the starter the rest of the year. Maybe he gets an opportunity to somewhere else next year. I'm also happy for Marvin Harrison. I'm also happy for Trey McBride, who has somebody who throws the ball quite a bit, right? Instead of Kyler Murray, who looks like a little video game character when he's running. So that being said, my baller of the week, Jacoby Brissett.
It's fucked up because when I think of that, I think of Ted playing the video game. Oh, but good baller of the week. I love it because they beat the fucking Cowboys. Can't hate it.
Yep.
But I will stay in the sports realm. I was going to go on the another side. I was contemplating, but I will go in the sports realm. It's a player who you've been gassing this entire podcast when we went to the baseball aspect. It's Yamamoto. That young kid, because I'm pretty sure he's young.
Yep.
I actually have no idea his age. I'm pretty sure he's young, though. Played absolutely phenomenal in the World Series. He won World Series MVP, and he came up clutch in Game 6 and in Game 7. The 2 biggest games that they needed him. Pitched 96 pitches, and then pitched the next game. He played absolutely phenomenal. And obviously the Dodgers team obviously can't go unnoticed with Ohtani having his 6-for-6 game. But I thought that Yamamoto's game, he won World Series MVP for a reason. He earned it. He played very well throughout the playoffs, and he played very well in the World Series. So that is my baller of the week.
Very, very good baller of the week. His heroics will not go unnoticed.
Fuck the Dodgers. I hate them. And that concludes this podcast. A very short one. We didn't talk about our picks this week. We'll bring them back next week. We're not going to leave them off to the side. We're probably going to do triple points for these ones to catch up. So we're not fucking behind when I lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. I'm pretty sure I'm on a losing streak, but let's not talk about that. But next episode, we'll talk about baseball. Well, we're not going to talk about baseball. We're going to take a break. We're going to bring basketball into the mix. Hockey, how the Rangers just can't find a way to do anything good at home.
You didn't have to mention the Rangers. You could have just said hockey. That's a dick move.
Rangers can't score a goal at home. And more about the NFL. But obviously, like, subscribe, follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok, and leave a comment and let us know what you want to hear in these upcoming episodes. And then we might make short videos, obviously, with our editor. Thank you, editor, for all of these little clips that we have. Peace.